sessions with Whit. So,
Whit, you mentioned yesterday when we were talking about this that the 20-game streak at the end of the season you kind of forgot about because you were trying to win the hits title and stolen base.
Yeah, I didn't even realize I had a consecutive game.
And exactly, what was the time frame where you finally remembered? Oh, I have a.
Well, I didn't remember. It was just somebody like in the off season, like,
okay.
Hey, you ended on a 20-game hit streak, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that, because
Okay.
like I said, I was kind of hovering around the 300 mark, and then I was also on the verge of leading the league in hits and stolen bases, and so I didn't really know that I'd put together 20 games.
Okay.
Did you think about it much at the early part of the season, or is it just like, I'm trying to get the season started, it doesn't really matter until you get a few games in?
I mean, honestly, I didn't think about it until I think I was talking to Swanee about I didn't know who had the record. I figured it was George, and I asked Swanee what the record was, and he told me the next day it was 30. So I was like, okay, that's pretty attainable.
Has George talked to you about this?
I haven't seen George actually, since I became aware of the record. So no.
You had the longest streak in baseball last year. There's nobody else that had a 20-game hitting streak all year.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
You think is it getting more difficult maybe with shifts and?
It's hard to hit. It's not easy to hit with all the shifts and just the way pitchers are now. You rarely see a guy go out there and you rarely see him 3 at bats. It's usually 2. If he's doing all right, maybe 3, and then you're facing 95, 96 with Sink out of the bullpen. And so it's just the way the game is now, you don't see the same guy. You don't get a chance to see the same guy 3 or 4 times, which makes it more difficult to hit.
is your preparation geared towards that, like more towards the guys that are going to come out of the bullpen as opposed to the starter, or?
I mean, my approach really doesn't change a whole lot. Yeah, obviously, the type of pitcher will dictate my approach a little bit, but I have different approaches for different pitchers, and I've got to the point where I'm pretty good at adjusting on the fly.
Gordon talked about the difference in the lineup for him with Mondesi and you in front of him. Did you notice a difference that second half of the season in the lineup, the top half in particular? It seemed like everybody was protecting each other really well.
I mean, we started getting more production, and just guys start feeding off each other, especially guys like Gordo and Soler and guys hitting behind us, when we get on base and cause havoc, it takes focus off the pitcher, from the hitter, and that's beneficial, and that's not something that can really be, measured.
Whit, do you know of any particularly long streaks you've had before?
I know I broke my college, South Carolina's record in 2010. I think it was 26. It's been broken since, but that one, I think I had a pretty good one in the minor leagues. I can't remember what it was, but that's who I can think of off the top of my head.
It's a little different because yours started last year and goes into this year, and there's some people like, oh, that doesn't count. I mean, it counts.
Is it harder to hit?
I don't know.
I mean, like last year,
exactly.
For me, if you're going good, you're in a groove, and then you take 5 months off. It seems like you can't just pick it right back up. That's kind of tough to do. So I would argue that it might be even harder to take 5 months off and then try to continue to be consistent.
And we talked about this maybe a week or so ago, and you said you didn't think Joe DiMaggio was rolling over in his grave. He's probably still not yet because you're not that close yet. But I mean, it's been another week. You keep going.
Yeah, it's been a good stretch, and with streaks like this, there's obviously some consistency and some good at bats you got to put together, but it takes a little bit of luck too. And going back to the first game of the year, I got a little doinker off for Rodon to keep it going, and so yeah, I mean, you want to put together good at bats, but you got to get a little lucky. So we'll see what happens.
I'm sure we've talked about it before. Are you a superstitious player? Does it bother you to talk about it?
No, it doesn't. I mean, I've talked about it, before, and it is what it is. You can't just, in today's game, you can't just not talk about it. So I've embraced it.
Along those lines, Whit, it's probably a point of pride, but not a point of stress. I mean,
right? Yeah, I mean, it's something I'm proud of, and I'd like to continue to be proud of it and continue to to build this streak, and I'd like to keep it going for a while longer.
You ever studied DiMaggio at all? With that whole story about the 56?
I've not really dug into a lot of the story. I did know. I think he was at like 30 or 32 or 35 or something, and he was 0 for in the 7th inning or something like that, and somebody, the manager wanted to walk him, and the pitcher refused or something like that, and he ended up getting a hit. Is that right?
Yep.
So I didn't know that quirk about the story, but that's kind of all I know about it.
Now, the rest of the team, I mean, you're obviously doing very well right now. You guys struggled. It's been a 6-game losing streak. You're just going out there doing your job, and you're not the kind of guy who's like, well, I got my hit. We're happy, right?
Well, I mean, we feel like we've played pretty well. We just haven't found ways to win games. We could really not, a doink here or something goes right there. We could be 6-2 pretty realistically. So we feel like we've been playing pretty well. We got to find ways to close games, find ways to score more runs, and find ways to keep guys from scoring runs. So. But we've been playing well, and there's a lot of promise in this team. We're only 8 games into the year. I got a feeling this division is going to be up for grabs. So it's a point in the year where it's important for us to stay positive and continue to work because, like I said, it's just 8 games.
Real quick tonight, Felix, I think